Good afternoon. I'm going to make these remarks in my national capacity as the permanent representative of the United Kingdom. The Security Council has just met to discuss Russia's continued assault on Ukraine 40 days into the war, including the harrowing images and reports that came out of Bucha at the weekend. President Zelensky also addressed the Council following his visit to Bucha yesterday. President Zelensky's reports of the destruction and torture Russian soldiers carried out on Ukrainian civilians were extremely harrowing. He told us about the men and women who were shot in the streets with their hands tied behind their backs. He told us that women had been gang raped, including in front of their children. That people had had their limbs cut off and their tongues cut out. That Russian tanks had crushed Ukrainian families who sat in their cars, unable to escape. He told us that there must be accountability for these crimes. The UK, as current President of the Council and as a committed partner of Ukraine, will not rest until that has happened. And you'll remember that we were the early supporters of the ICC inquiry, which is now going on, and we welcome the announcement today from the Secretary-General of an independent inquiry. Frankly, we found Russia blamed everyone else, but we've all seen the satellite images that show the bodies having been in Bucha for weeks. President Zelensky also called for the United Nations, the UN Security Council, and the international architecture to act on these war crimes and to reform if necessary. The United Nations was also clear. 11.3 million people have now been displaced. So we do need to investigate these crimes. And in his remarks, the Secretary-General set out the global consequences: rising food prices, more than 50 developing countries with more than 1.2 billion people affected by the ripple effects of this war. We need to silence the guns. We're all clear about that. Thank you.
President Zelensky, do you agree with him on the statement when he said that there is Security Council, but there is no peace in the world? And he even asked to remove Russia from the Security Council or to reconsider the mechanism of how the United Nations and Security Council works. Do you agree with this statement?
I think it's true that the Security Council was set up to protect peace and security in the world, and in the light of Russia's veto, we have been very restricted in our ability to act. I think it's very welcome that we've seen the General Assembly act so decisively, both to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine and also to call for humanitarian support. And we've seen that in those strong votes that you've seen with 141 and 140 countries. But we do need to make sure that now and in the future, the Security Council and the UN as a whole is able to respond to these sort of challenges. And that's why we're very strong supporters of the Secretary-General's common agenda, which will help drive through these reforms we need to see. Thank you.
Madam Ambassador, there seems to be a unanimous call for an independent investigation, not only in Bucha, but elsewhere in Ukraine. Can you perhaps talk about how soon that can happen and what the process is in that regard?
Well, the Secretary-General announced today that he had asked for an independent inquiry, but we know that Karim Khan, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, is already in Ukraine, and his team is already in the business of collecting evidence, and that's a very sophisticated and important part of this. So we very much welcome those developments. Thank you.